Thank you so much.
थैंक यू चेयरमैन. आप सभी को नमस्कार. So I am going to talk. I think most of us are civil engineers. Nobody is from IT. Anyhow, this is a proud moment for us because no engineering without civil engineering. So I will just present one slide. We are the mirror of the civilization, and we will think later on. Then I will come to main topic about the requirement of professional good institute. Mr. Ji has already talked a lot more. And then, are we discharging our duty as civil engineering at any level, government, organization, R&D, or in field, with professional ethics or not? With example of latest construction of infrastructure, expressway, I will show like that. So I need not to tell that with an ambition of 5 trillion economy, we are constructing infrastructure at faster and faster rate. Any infrastructure, whether it is highways, railways or anything, at the same time it is duty of the authority to ensure durability, climate resilience and implementation of SDG goals. So as time is short, I would like to say that we, civil engineer, is a mirror of civilization. Today's start from your cave living type of thing and go for that. All infrastructure are just to boost up economic development at faster rate, but we provide anything, even for space. So we should feel proud of this. Of course, day by day, good civil engineering or engineers are being very scarce in our country. Why? Because it is we create, improve and protect either it is man-made or natural environment, or make it fit to live, or improvement further and further with the help of other engineers. Now, what are the efforts required to reduce today's challenge, that is our survival or Earth's survival, global climate change? So those things start from planning stage, reflected in the design, implemented during the construction stage and proved by the performance of any infrastructure. Here I will give an example of concrete highway, expressway, recently constructed in our country. We all know if you are going to construct properly a concrete highway, it is going to last for even more than 50 years, even 100 years. Without requiring major repair, rehabilitation. If you construct properly, there is no need of cement, aggregate, even water for repair and rehabilitation, except for the sealant in some special cases. Here I will show that in our DPRs, any infrastructure again, we used to see green technology, only body. In design, it will be not reflected. During construction, implementation is highly questionable, with performance premature failure, so not proven. So everything in book. So that requires lack of professional ethic, I would like to say here. This is just a depict of concrete road in comparison of bituminous road with respect to few countries. If you see South Korea having maximum in the last few years, and you will be knowing that they are now going for next generation surface concrete for tunnels as well as roads. That is going to be much quieter than what we are using today and totally futuristic. This is just an example of expressway construction design parameters. We all know if we are designing concrete road, said that it is the fatigue consumption on the basis of which we design. And fatigue consumption we used to take one maximum. So for optimum it should be 0.7, 0.8. But here if you see in this construction, they have taken 0.046. What does it indicate? As an engineer, you will say it is going to be perpetual type of thing. Life will be increased drastically. As a material engineer, it is not optimized. If it is not optimized, so see, this is an example of expressway, 2 carriageway, 15 meter with each carriageway. So even increase of 10 mm of thickness of pavement slab, what is the implication? Use of concrete, cement increases 334 metric ton. So contribution for the causes of faster global climate change, we are going to. Natural resources, you can see how much we are going to utilize. Money wise, 50 lakhs more. This is an example from an expressway which cost around 5,500 crore. So they will say, yeah, this is mere amounts. So where is the economy? You can justify it, both comment. But if you see SDG goal, no. It is common practice in our country that in a concrete road of 30 kilometers, there will be recasting of at least 300 to 1,000 panels of a standard size 3.5 into 4.5 meter. So the quantity of material and associated things we are generating or that so during the construction no good supervision is being exercised. Even during performance, if you see, premature failure are very common. These are from national highway, expressways. In some cases, as I told that it is duty of authority to provide us any infrastructure safe, durable. So on this expressway, riding quality is around 2800. So vertical acceleration you can assume. It is not safe for moving even at 60 km per hour, 70 km per hour. Expressway is designed for at least 120 km. That's why it is expressway. So you will have to improve the riding quality by taking micro milling or macro milling. This is being done on a new expressway. So you have seen here, in design, no reflection of anything related to SDG goals. During construction, even during performance, we lack. In my opinion, this is only due to lack of professional ethics as well as experience. So what are the approaches which we can do? First thing is of involvement of qualified professionals, which is very rare or day by day depleting. For any good construction is required professional input. This is required from planning stage to certification. I have seen national highway which was constructed under NHDP program 2003 to 2006, full of stress, distresses. After 15 years, again had been awarded for the construction. How certification was given? Again, professional knowledge or a skill, whatever you can think, is required. Therefore, what we need? We need to fix the responsibility of all stakeholders, starting from our ministry till subcontract, all should be responsible, and encourage more and more use of alternate materials or recycled materials. Again, that's required a highly professional input, that means professionally qualified person, which of course costs a lot of money. Use the new technology, improved technology, testing technology, concept of less is more. In India, we are producing the cements which are far, far better than other countries, and we can have a strength and other parameters like if it is concrete road, so slippage. At 7 days, far, far better than even at 28 days. So those things can be used also. Concrete mix design. Use engineered cement concrete composite mix having inclusion of micro, macro, nano, or their combination to derive what we need for your design. Again, professionally qualified person is required. And nobody, including our government, is interested to fund you R&D related fund. So if we are going to take a small step and discharge our duty properly, so of course we will be implementing SDG goal, contributing to a reduction in CO2 causes. Again, if you see, nowadays, hybrid fiber type concrete you can use, much better performance, line for overlay, concrete overlay, as well as your bridge deck overlay you can have. Proven technology, nothing required. For city roads, if you want pothole free, go for the white topping. It may be thin white topping of 4 inches. It may be in some cases 6 inches. Here the example, first time in India, we are using for 15-meter carriageway, thin white topping in Nagpur, no double bar. If you have capability to go for 15 meter in one go, then no time bar. So technology are available here, coming at very, very slow rate, because everybody are not interested to encourage such type of things. Finally, I would like to end with this. Dedicated effect from all stakeholders is a must. Engineered composite concrete mix provide full range of structure, architectural, sustainability option for infrastructure project. Combining these capability with advancement in material and construction technology allow to achieve accelerated economic growth and SDG goal, thinking and contributing in reducing carbon dioxide emission from any infrastructure, including the road. So we all are required to discharge our professional ethics wherever we are. And finally, this shows only the requirement of the topic for which we are here, skilled, professionally qualified engineers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rakesh. I think you touched upon a topic which is of great importance. The roads actually play a major role, not only from the durability point of view, but also to ensure the safety of the pedestrians and the vehicle owners. In fact, what I observed, the Indian roads compared to the roads in West are not technically engineered properly, and that is the main cause of so many accidents. Not only the accidents part, but also the quality and durability of the roads. So I can briefly cite my own experience. I went to Abu Dhabi a few years back, and then I found that there was a road under repair. So I just noticed that, and maybe after 6 months of time again I went to Abu Dhabi, and I found the same road, same patch was under repair again. So I just, out of curiosity, asked my driver, who was a long timer there, what happened? This road is taking so much of time. He told this road, they did it 4 times and they could not pass the quality standards. And they are made to ensure that until unless the quality is that quality is ensured, it will not be done. So I think India needs that kind of enforcement in terms of the quality, approvals. You have already stressed upon this topic. It's not only the quality, but also there is a need to improve our standards. The use of the novel materials, new technologies. Now there is a more focus on use of the waste plastic into the road. I think those things will also not only reduce the requirement of bitumen, but also reduce the CO2 emission also that way, because we found one disposal place for that. So thank you very much for giving us some highlights on that. Now coming to the very first speaker, Dr. Ajit Kumar, he had given a very good picture of the key issues which is there in colleges. It is actually surprising to know that in 2010 we had 38 lakhs of students, which is reduced to 15 lakhs. It's a very, very grim picture actually. India needs more and more engineers to sustain the industrial growth. We are progressing in all sectors, but still we are lacking on the students part. And the current students are the future for the country. So I think government must be definitely have noticed that and must be doing something on that part. There's a need, and obviously there's a need for industry to really do the handholding of the colleges and impart the training to the students so that they are, when they come out of the college, they are ready to serve the industry. In fact, our own experience, we did a few years back one industry academia series of lectures where we found the teachers themselves were not having that much of adequate knowledge to impart to the students. So we did one session with them. It was involving maybe about 25 teachers from maybe around 10 colleges or so. And I wish that similar courses do happen in a regular interval with companies like EL and other similar institutions with that kind of practical experience back to the colleges. So not taking much of time, I think we're falling short of time. I thank all the 3 speakers for bringing out their own perspective of different topics. Luckily, we had all 3 civil engineers. I'm not a civil engineer, so everything was some knowledge to me. So once again, thank you all. Yeah,
This is for Dr. Chandan Ghosh. You showed one metro where the earthquake monitoring system is not there, but since 2016, along with CSIR, CSIO, EAL has developed an early earthquake warning detection system with even after 2016. So whatever earthquakes happen, before the tremor come to Delhi, it is already installed in our Delhi Metro, all the Delhi Metro's major stations. Automatically you get the warning alarm before the tremors comes to Delhi, and then all the guys are safe whomsoever is traveling Delhi Metro stations. This is just an
one photograph I showed of the train that which they have stopped. It is not that when you receive the tremor, close the train, is not the kind of resilient infrastructure.
Yes.
So that is so you have to check that whether it is going to cause any damage to your facilities or not. So when we go in a professionally engineered way, then we have to see that when after tremor is coming, it is tremor only, and whether it is going to cause damage or not, that kind of assessment has to be done.
Thank you, Mahesh, for bringing in this. In fact, I wanted to bring it to the notice of all the audience that we have developed it as a company. Not having it, I think it's always better to have something like that. And at least some kind of safety is imparted when the earthquake comes in. In fact, the major important point was on the building side, which Dr. Ghosh has covered. We know that Japan keeps getting a lot of earthquakes. The buildings there are so well designed, using the proper standards, that nothing happens to the buildings most of the times. Whereas in the other countries like India or other third world countries, if even a minor earthquake really causes all the big damage. So we need to have that kind of enforcement and updation of our standards, and like certification part also is a key important thing in the civil engineering industry. So thank you very much. I'm sorry to say that we won't be able to take up questions now. The sponsors, I mean the organizers are waiting for me to close the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear it once again for what a wonderful session we had here. And thank you for the additional input which you just shared with us. As a token of regard, respect, appreciation and thanks, we have few mementos to be given to all the keynote speakers. I would request the chair to do the honor, please. Any other mementos? Asian Pacific Union and former BOG member ECI to join us here and present the memento to the chair of the session, please.
Very interesting, and this reminds me the heading which has been given, title, role of engineers, I should say role of engineers and technologists, accelerating economic growth. What for? Economic growth to become self-reliant later on, what we call Atmanirbhar. But one question, sir, to the learned speakers and the audience, how do we achieve it? In some analysis which I made, I found we cannot fight any war more than 7-8 days. What for? Because we are imported hardware which has brought the technology. But these are other hardware, not our hardware. And same thing happening in infrastructure also. Same thing happening in industry, whether in mining or steel or any other industry. Sir, question today is to learned speakers, they may be answered during lunch session. What is missing then to achieve economic growth? R&D and basic engineering. Everything which is coming along with goes away. And today we are not having our own basic engineering, our own R&D. I am very happy. I don't know whether it's because of my letter or many more people like me must have written a letter to PM. And last 15th August he announced, if we have to become Atmanirbhar, we should have fully developed R&D and fully developed basic engineering, not import anything and do some detailing here and also in India. Whether it is medical science, whether it is basic mining, anything, you need such an R&D effort to basic engineering. Friends, let us not address this question because otherwise all such our talks remains incomplete. Let us give our thought on this. I am very happy in the last 15 August when he mentioned today people are talking. I know DRDO has done quite a lot of work on basic side, but other industries they are lacking behind. I hope you see this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that additional input, and what a food for thought. Let's join outside. The food is already waiting for all of us, and try to resume back latest by 2 so that we are able to resume the sessions on time. Thank you very much, everyone. Has a number of qualifications, technical, professional, and others, such as PhD, MSc, MMS, MBA, BSc, HTO, MOC, etc. A fourth generation retired Indian Army officer with 4 decades of proven track record of excellence, achievements and awards. Rare distinction holder of Army War College, Armament Technology University, Chennai University and Osmania University. He is and was associated as advisor with ICI DSST DRDO, visiting faculty at various universities and institutions, former National DG of Youth Affairs, Department of Government of India, with autonomous charge, ADG Indian Counter-Terrorist Force Rashtriya Rifles. He is and was associated as project director and director of various civil and defense department. He is and was member of governing council of various civil and defense bodies. He is widely traveled abroad as head and member of Government of India delegations as well as a speaker. He has written a number of military and technical papers. He has been decorated and awarded a number of medals and awards such as President of India's Parakram Padak, 3 citations from Army Chief and Army Commanders, Commendation of Army Chief and Army Commander, Atal Award for Lifetime Achievement in Defense Services, Dr. APJ Kalam Lifetime Achievement Award for Youth Development, etc. He is an authority and can speak on various topics such as leadership, management, cyber security, financial management, counter-terrorism, system approach, future planning, technology development, youth development, future laws, public policy and governance, emerging technologies and artificial intelligence, and many more topics. I hand over the session to you, sir.
Jai Hind, gentlemen. For those again. Right. In this very wonderful session, which the organization is already engineered. The session has been engineered, why I say so is because they have put a very less qualified chair with most qualified speakers. I am now going to invite my wonderful co-panelists, and to start with, I would invite Shri Vipin Kumar, who has more than 14 years of rich experience in various capacities in different institutions and organizations. He has worked as an assistant director in AICTE and shouldered various responsibilities of the Approval Bureau, Research, Innovation and Funding Development Schemes of AICTE, Student Development Cell related schemes, Policy and Academic Planning Bureau, Induction Program Cell, NEET Cell initiatives. At present, he is working with the Department of Technical Education in UP. He has a credit to innovate many schemes for AICTE, especially for student development schemes. Initially, he started his career from Bharat Electronics Limited in 2006 as a graduate apprentice trainee. Then he moved on to Adani Gas in March 2007, and after almost 5 years of oil and gas field exposure, he moved towards Department of Technical Education in UP in the year 2011. He has completed his BTech, MBA, MTech, and just completed his postgraduate diploma in disaster management from IGNOU. Postgraduate diploma in urban planning and development from IGNOU is on completion. He is now pursuing his PhD from Delhi Technological University, Delhi, and will be shortly completing the same. Welcome. I now invite Professor S.K. Majumdar. Soumendra Kumar Majumdar is a PhD in Civil Engineering from IIT Kharagpur with specialization in hydraulics and has extensive teaching and research experience of over 69 years. During 1998 to 2000, he was awarded Emeritus Fellowship by AICTE, and he continued with research and teaching for PG program at Delhi College of Engineering. Thereafter, he joined and worked as an advisor to a number of consultancy companies in Delhi. Apart from teaching and research and consultancy, he has contributed about 210 technical papers, mostly in Indian journals, to enrich professional journals and professional societies. He is also the recipient of several awards from professional societies in India. Welcome, Professor Majumdar. I now invite my friend Group Captain Dr. S.N. Mishra. He is an Indian Air Force veteran, having more than 3 decades of experience in climate sciences, climate change and sustainability in diverse roles of climate risk analysis and extreme weather events forecasting and mitigation, adaptation and finding strategic and sustainable solutions for issues arising out of climate crisis, planning and execution, both across India and Sudan. He has a PhD on prediction of widespread severe floods in the northwestern parts of the country using an integrated ensemble approach. He has been actively involved in the academic areas in both teaching and research and guided multiple students leading to their MPhil and PhD degrees and published several scientific papers on climate sciences in both national and international journals. He has worked on several projects of national importance with DST, IMD, IITM on extreme weather events and climate change across all regions of India. He was involved in raising war potential of armed forces, the most notable being Balakot airstrike. We provide project-based climate change and risk analysis consultancy for dams, hydropower, reservoirs, renewable and nuclear power projects. He is presently working with TERI, the Energy Resource Institute, University and number of other management colleges across the country. He is an invited speaker on various forums of national importance of climate change, water security and sustainability. Welcome, sir. We had a wonderful talk by Dr. Saraswat in the morning. He actually created a wonderful landscape and gave a lot of inputs and ideas on what is happening and what is required to happen. You also had a session on requirement of skilled engineers and session 1. And past this session, in session 3, you will have the framework for future needs of engineers. We will restrict our discussion mainly to the subject that we've been allotted, and that is requirement, or rather spelling out the role of the various agencies for preparing engineers. Erstwhile it was said for economic development. We are now changing, with your permission, sir, the role of engineers for the coming times in India, which will cover, of course, economic development also, and if there are other things which we come across which we want to contribute in line with the thinking given by Dr. Saraswat. Kindly allow, sir. Thank you, sir. So for this, what we're going to do is we'll have a short talk by each of the participants to start with, followed by 1 or 2 questions from the chair, and then towards the end we'll have a question answer session where each one of you is welcome to ask questions or contribute your suggestions, whichever way, and then we'll culminate with a small conclusion. So to start with, I will invite my friend Group Captain Dr. S.N. Mishra, and it is with a deliberate purpose. The purpose is that as Dr. Saraswat said, and I also feel, the coming shape of things, whether it is our country or elsewhere in the world, will be largely impacted by the climate change. And this climate change is going to impact every single aspect of engineering. Therefore, I like him to speak first so that the subsequent speakers can take note of those important imperatives, and if they wish to, they can moderate their thoughts accordingly, and it will also give you then the chance of understanding the implications of the climate change and how the not only will it influence and impact, but also dictate certain changes and may also require creation of additional types of engineers. So over to Group Captain Mishra.
Thank you, sir. I have a presentation. So
Yeah, please go ahead. Time?
15 to 20 minutes.
15 minutes.
Can I have my presentation, please?
It is on your right. It is on your right.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I am very thankful for this invite which I have got. And already Major General Dilawar sir has set the context right. And I thought now I'll straight away jump onto the subject because this is a crisis which no longer can wait. And I was looking for these kind of opportunities where I can really put forth my point. You will be know as to how an Indian Air Force officer into business of climate change and sustainability. Primarily, I am a Met officer who has talked about extreme weather events throughout, and the second part is my passion now. So this is the risk landscape which has been emerging. This is a survey which has been conducted by World Economic Forum. And if you see, these are they are not very visible clearly, but this has been conducted right from 2015 onward. And this is by 1,000 most prominent world leaders across the world, is conducted by World Economic Forum. And consistently the most challenges which has emerged, or the biggest risk which have emerged over a period of time, which will be there for next 10 years. The first is extreme weather events, second is climate action failure, third is human environment damage, and thereafter this is the sequence. Now I'll come to the latest survey which has been conducted in 2023, just before the Davos World Economic Forum. This has been released, and if you see next 10 years, which is the biggest threat for the world as a economy or otherwise, failure to mitigate climate change. That climate change is emerging as one of the biggest problems across the world. No wonder today the kind of discourse which is happening across the world, across the forums, whether it is G20, whether it is Glasgow, whether it is Sharm el-Sheikh, or anywhere, it is all about climate change and how to mitigate this crisis which is emerging and emerging faster than what people had expected. And why? Because there are evidences. Failure of climate change adaptation is the second one, and natural disasters, extreme weather events, and biodiversity loss and ecosystem collapse. So these are all associated with the climate change. So this is the crisis. Now, exactly what is global warming when we say? If you look at the global average temperature, what 0 degrees Celsius, what you look at your right, this is the temperature our atmospheric system should have. But what you can see here very clearly, the temperature has remained more or less consistent, plus minus 0.0203 this side or that side, these were the glacial stages. But suddenly after 1950, the temperature has shot up. Now this temperature which has shot up, this is called post-industrial temperature shoot up. And this is close to, if you can see, 1 degree Celsius. So now this is the temperature increase of 1 degree Celsius in the normal temperature of the Earth atmospheric system, which is creating problem. And why this is happening, that's the issue. Now if you look at the global average surface temperature for last say 200 years, then you see the temperature has been either below 0 degrees Celsius or when I say 0, this is from normal. Normal temperature Earth atmospheric system across the globe is 15 degrees Celsius. So this is difference from 15 degrees Celsius. So 0 is considered as 15 degrees Celsius. What is happening? The most of the temperature shoot is happening post 1970, 1980. And that is the concern, that suddenly the economic activity and who's responsible for this temperature shoot is basically it is the human endeavors in the form of industrial revolution, the kind of businesses which we are doing. So this is the global mean temperature as of now, close to 1.04 degrees Celsius, more than the normal what we have. And this is creating chaos across the world, what we have seen across India, across Pakistan, to Europe, we will just cover. So what is climate change? That was global warming. Climate change is the economic activity, human activity which we are doing. Basically, the kind of energy which we are generating through our thermal power station, the coal which we are using, the gas which we are using, the fuel which we are using, fossil fuel, that is emitting a lot of greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. These are basically greenhouse gases. So these gases, whatever incident solar radiations are coming, which you see on the left side, they are coming, they are getting absorbed by the Earth atmospheric system, and once the Earth atmospheric system is absorbing them, it is re-emitting as infrared radiations back into the space. But what is happening, the increased concentration of these greenhouse gases basically is the one which is absorbing these infrared radiations. Otherwise, those who are part of physics, they know that in a spectrum, when we see the Earth atmospheric, the sun's spectrum, we have visible, we have IR, we have called atmospheric window. Every one of us who has studied physics even at 10th or 12th will know. So that 10 to 12 IR radiations which are being emitted, they are being all trapped by the increased concentration of carbon dioxide, by methane, nitrous oxide. And that is what warming our environment. So that is your greenhouse effect, and that is what is resulting into climate change. And why this is happening? If you look at this another very fascinating chart, this is the concentration of CO2. Why we are concentrating on CO2? Because CO2 is the main culprit. So from last 8 lakh years, if you look at the CO2 concentration has been restricted to generally around 260 parts per million. But this is the NOAA lab on 3rd June 2022, they have recorded 421 parts per million. So that means there is so much of increased concentration of CO2 which is creating chaos across the world. And our challenge is how to sequester this CO2, how to reduce this CO2, first to mitigate and to adapt to the effect of the CO2. So this is the share of annual CO2 emissions by the country. This is 2009. China is 29%, United States 14% of world. Total world is emitting close to 37 gigatons of greenhouse gases as of now. And out of that, China maximum, rest of the world, United States 14%, India is 7%. So we are still called third biggest polluter in the world. Okay, but the moment we go on to the other statistics, the whole scenario changes. We are third biggest polluter, but if we look at per capita pollution, the number of people which are available, then India is 2.4 and world average is 6.3. And if you look at United States, 14 tons of CO2 per person they are emitting. That means they are developed, they are using a lot of energy, and that is where even China, if you look at, it is 9.2 tons. So China is also not that bad, which is being shown. And that is what we keep talking about, common differentiated responsibility, that you are a historical polluter. You are the one who have polluted this world, the global north or the developed countries, and you are continuing to pollute still. The energy sector is, so where do we, if this is the problem, we have to address the problem, we have to identify where is the problem. So if you look at this, India is emitting close to 2529 million tons of CO2 as of now, and the blue which you are seeing is basically emitted by the energy sector. Energy sector means your coal, your fossil fuels, petrol, diesel and gases. So that means if this is the case, we have to impact here. We have to find all our innovation, technology, engineering here to reduce this part. So in 2015 itself, there are sustainable goals. Today every country, every department is working towards achieving these sustainable goals, and we are also working. India is working very hard actually, and India is doing very well. But what are the impacts? The impact of this temperature rise is that global mean sea level rise. If you see, the global mean sea level rise is 4.5 millimeters per year. This is how the sea is rising now. This was, if you look at 2.1 mm per year till December 2002, and thereafter it has increased to 2.9. Current statistics shows that it is 4.4, and you will be surprised to know that this is 1996. You just multiply the number of our coastal cities will submerge by 2050, part of them. And this is not Mumbai to Chennai. Marine Drive, you may not find Marine Drive available by 2050 if this is the situation, if we don't contain this kind of things. So this is what's going to happen. Lot of infrastructure, lot of your area which will go. Your Bangladesh will actually go under the water. Can you believe where these people will go if that goes under the water? So this is the end game for the humans. See, this is how we look at it. Our planet has entered a phase that could lead to a 6th mass extinction event. This is the IPCC co-chair tells, and this is the fact. So what is happening because of this? A lot of extreme weather events which are happening. Your frequent and intense cyclones which are coming. Your prolonged heat waves. Last year, March heat wave, if you remember, India had so much of ambitions to provide food to the world, but suddenly you had a heat wave which has curtailed your wheat crop, and suddenly India has put ban on all kind of exports to wheat. Severe thunderstorms which take lives and destroy property, your heavy rainfalls. Now you don't know where rainfall is happening, when is happening. It is all seasonal, unseasonal. Cloudburst, floods and flash floods, glacial lake outbursts, Leh, Chamoli, that NTPC where land and mudslide droughts, these are very common. We can't forget this. Last year March, this has reduced our wheat production close to 6%. And India, actually the kind of inflation which has gone, the food security was at stake last year. So this year we will. This is the scenario today in India because of this climate change. That every day there is some extreme weather occurring over India. If you see month of June to September, it is mostly floods. The moment you come to March to April, it is May, heat waves, and in between you'll have cyclones, you'll have cloudbursts, and lightning and storms. So every day it is occurring. So our 75 districts are extreme weather hotspots. So they are all they are vulnerable, highly vulnerable. The cost of extreme weather events in 2021, India suffered 87 billion USD. This is only hydrometeorological events. We will not say that the number of work hours which have lost out because of extreme heat, that has not been counted part of this. The number of people who have died, that has not been. This is only hydrometeorological events. China has 237 billion USD. Just I'll give you a Kerala floods, August 2008. 2.8 lakh houses, 1.4 lakh hectare and 70,000 kilometer road network. Total 6 billion USD. Cyclone Fani, April 2009. 8 billion. Cyclone Amphan 2020 during the COVID, 14 billion USD. Cyclone Yas, May 2021, 14 billion USD loss in infrastructure during last decade. So this has to be resolved, and who can better resolve this? And these are just to put you that what is the target India, our Prime Minister which has said during Glasgow, the Panch Amrit Tattva which we call them. India will increase non-fossil fuel energy capacity by 500 gigawatt by 2030. India will fulfill its 50% energy requirement through renewable energy by 2030. Now, India will reduce 1 million ton of total projected carbon emission between now and 2030. India will reduce its economic carbon intensity to less than 45% by 2030. Mission life, India will achieve the target of net zero emissions by 2070. Now, this is very important to understand that this has changed the entire business in this country and across the world. The moment he did these commitments. So today you can see Reliance, which has done of 15 billion USD a deal with Aramco, they have shelved it and they have instead spent 75 billion USD into green energy, because from chemical and oil they want to become green, because they know they will not survive. It's an end game, climate change. So what we need to do, we have to impact at two places. One is mitigation, that we reduce the carbon emission, the CO2 emission, that is mitigation. And another one is adaptation, that even if we reduce today, still these extreme weather events will continue to increase for next 2 decades, because the temperature, it will take time to subside. So that means people, those who are vulnerable, they need to be protected, their adaptive capacity has to be increased, the infrastructure has to be built up. So that needs to be done. So adaptation measures, increasing adaptive capacity, building resilience to extreme weather events. And who will build this resilience? All engineers will build this resilience. Flood protection, who will give? All engineers will give. Forest protection, infrastructure and building design, green infrastructure, these all engineers will give. Conservation of water and energy, all engineers and technologists will give. Mitigation measures, reduction in GHGs, who will give this? Technology, all engineers will give. Renewable energy, net neutrality by 2070, reduce dependency on fossil fuel energy, sustainable transportation, e-mobility. So your all transportation game is changing. Just you see, all companies are coming for EV transportation, because Delhi, with one policy decision, they have thrown 55 lakh vehicles out of road. Just one decision. Because they want to, and let me put it very clearly, Delhi will not register your petrol and diesel vehicle from 2030 onward. The world is on highway to climate help, with foot on the accelerator. That is what United Nations Secretary General has said. But engineers, you can disrupt climate change. This is only engineers who can disrupt. Okay, by decarbonization technologies, carbon capture, solar radiation management will provide work for decades to come. So what are the challenges which we have? So this is in context that the whole engineering has to be reimagined, and that is being done also actually. The problem is that we see that this is somebody else's problem. It is not somebody else's problem. It is everybody's problem, and everyone has to push. So lack of awareness and understanding what is going to happen in the future. Those who are working in thermal power plants, there will not be any thermal. 2030 India has said that after 2030 we will not put any thermal power plant. It's end game. Second is challenges that there is resistance to change. When we change, until unless there is a hard policy driven decisions are taken, nobody wants to change. And the biggest thing is the challenge is interdisciplinary collaboration, that ye to bhai uska kaam hai, I don't know. So the engineers, the scientists, the physicists, the social scientists, because social scientists also play a very important role. They all have to come collaborate to bring the new technologies, new engineering methods to tide over this crisis. And yes, limited resources have always been remained limited. That has always been remained a constraints. But where is the opportunities? Innovation and creativity. Why I'll say this? In 2010-11, when the solar power started, the cost of each unit was 17 rupees 95 paisa. 2010-11. These were the bidding cost. Today, do you know what is the cost of solar power? 2 rupees 44 paisa per unit. It is coming down. Now, who made it possible? It is engineers and technologists who made it possible. Nobody else. The kind of job creation. I was just reading one report that next 40 years, the maximum job will come in the green energy or in the green domain, whether it is renewable energy, whether it is transport, green urban infrastructure, you name it. It will all come. Sustainability, ESG. ESG domain, net neutrally by 2070. India's each company has done its GSG carbon inventory, and they said by 2050, most of the companies of India, major companies. This year, SEBI has made compulsory for all companies, up to 1,000 companies by market cap, to make it compulsory that they will report their GSG inventory. So these are the areas: renewable energy, carbon capture, carbon sequestration, green hydrogen. Green hydrogen, already Reliance has said that they will produce green hydrogen the rate of $1 per kg. Battery storage, another. EV transportation, greening and climate proofing of infrastructure. Now, greening and climate proofing of infrastructure has a major role in adaptation, because that is what will make the vulnerable people safe. Climate proofing is a process that integrates climate change mitigation and adaptation measures into the development of infrastructure project. 3 steps India should take to climate proof its infrastructure, and who will do it? All engineers will do it. Because India already aspires to invest 1.5 trillion USD in infrastructure in the next 10 years. Innovation and technology, standards and governance, they need to change, and they are changing. Any new infrastructure project, it has to go through climate risk lens. Companies have started doing, private companies have started doing it, that they do their climatic analysis, anything which they are doing, climatic risk analysis. Rethink its infrastructure standards. Systems innovation to monitor global practices on infrastructure and technology. I'll just will do one comparative analysis, which Hurricane Katrina, Type 4 hurricane, came in August 2005. Human life lost 1,800. Property damage 125 billion USD. Again, Ida came at the same place, Gulf Coast. August 2021, human life loss just 109, property damage 95 billion USD. You can't change, because the hurricane changes its character, that they have rebuilt their levees, their coastal infrastructure, but it has not done any damage. It has come in between areas and heavily rained, and they have flooded a lot of houses, and actually few people have lost their life because of that. Nobody has lost life during rainfall in this. So they have done a lot of climate proofing post Hurricane Katrina. Levee and flood protection systems they have made. Infrastructure hardening, they are all whether electrical or network, your communication network, all they have made underground. Building codes and zoning regulations, they have totally changed. They have put 10 times more money what they used to have. So much of hardening they have done. And obviously emergency preparedness and response planning, that also they have put in place. So that's how it has made a change. So gentlemen, while humanity is currently on a trajectory to severe climate change, this disaster can be averted if researchers aim for goals that seem nearly impossible. We are hopeful, because sometimes engineers and scientists do achieve the impossible, and they are only one who will achieve this. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any questions, we'll answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Group Captain Mishra, for this wonderful presentation. You highlighted a number of important points. Please sit down. I'm now going to invite Professor S.K. Majumdar to enlighten us.
Well, I have been in the teaching profession for long years, so I prefer this role of academia and professional associations in preparing engineers for the economic growth of India. Now, population of India will reach about 1800 million by 2047. 70% of the people will, this is a prediction, will live in cities which need infrastructures for improving quality of urban life. In 47, when India woke up to freedom, I was born in 1938, so we were facing stark realities of recurring famines and floods, as there was hardly any industries, communication irrigation, power, etc. Based on limited experience and inadequate technological strength, the country accepted the challenge and embarked on its journey for progress as part with our other industrial nations in the world. Several 5-year plans were drawn by the Planning Commission, Government of India. Now it is called Niti Aayog. One of the primary objectives of the new education policy, NEP 2020 of the Government of India, is to prepare our youths to undertake development projects by producing engineers, technicians, skilled and semi-skilled workers. A lot of emphasis is laid on research and innovation by producing scientists and engineers of high quality in order to bridge the existing gap in quality of products from India and other developed countries. We should not forget that our products, unless it is competitive, because people go to market for purchasing higher quality, even if you have to pay little. So unless, and the gap between us and the developed nations, unless we can bridge it, it will be very difficult for us to compete with those advanced countries. I used to discuss the role that academic institutions and professional bodies can play in preparing engineers, technicians of high quality to realize the goal set forth by the Government of India. In current scenario, India possesses a large number of academic institutions under the academic control of either UGC or AICTE, who currently offer 4-year undergraduate program, 2-year postgraduate program, and PhD courses in engineering and technology institutions. Engineering diploma courses are offered by polytechnics in almost all states. As per AICTE annual report, 3,087 institutions have annual intake of about 14,34,514 engineers at UG and PG levels, and 3,658 polytechnics have annual intake of about 10,07,517 at 78 at diploma level in engineering technology. Several aspects of quality improvement of engineering education in India, shortcomings of private technical institutions, shortage of faculty, lack of collaboration with industries, etc., and industry-institute interaction have been discussed. Quite a good deal of them have been already discussed. The low enrollment, lower placements, and low employability of engineers are causes for concern. Recently, AICTE have closed about 50% of private engineering colleges due to lack of applicants, not much admission, because they run on profit basis, profit basis. So inadequate quality and employability of the pass out students. Growth of technical institutions in India from 80 to, I have limited data, but there was a great rise, from 1980 to 2000, I have read only up to 2012. So you can see how much has been the growth. Quality of undergraduate technical education in India. Engineering and technical institutions in India is currently offered at various levels by different categories of institutions, namely industrial training institutes. They are mostly artisans type. Then polytechnics for diploma level courses, 3 years program, and engineering colleges, 4 years program, and universities, IITs, IIMs, IISc, IIST, then NITs, the government and private institutions of higher education for postgraduate education of 2-year duration and doctorates for 2 to 3 years. Today, majority of our engineering graduates prefer IT, software, banking or similar type of jobs where there is very little scope to utilize the technical knowledge and professional training they receive at the technical institutions during their 4-year program. There is a great deal of mismatch between our social requirements and the educational program and what the students learn from the education institution, what they actually practice in real life. According to a survey by McKinsey and National Association of Software and Service Companies, NASSCOM, only 25% of the 15 lakh Indian engineers are employable, mainly due to quality, or due to lack of quality and skill deficiency. Postgraduate education, research and consultants in engineering technical institutions are confined to a limited institution like IITs, NITs and a few universities, despite the fact that India badly requires higher and specialized education in engineering to face and solve intricate problems of the society. Despite attractive scholarships, nearly 60% of our 19,000 sanctioned postgraduate seats remain vacant, while less than 7,000 completed the PG program annually. These are the report from Kapotkar Committee and Subbarao Committee. Very few undergraduate students from IIT and NITs join PG program in India. Majority of the PG students come from private states and colleges for getting an NIT or IIT stamp. I am telling it from a personal experience because in innovation, not only the teachers but the students are also very important. I had an opportunity of working 1 year as a visiting professor at Swiss Institute. I found there, people from industry, they come to education institute, but you must have capable people to guide them. There are if you compare their institutions, they more field oriented. They take very challenging problems too, and industries also encourage a lot of funding they give. Now, quality of postgraduate technical education, I continue. There is no motivation, and they are reluctant to do any hard work because postgraduate education in abroad requires a lot of hard work. My son is a doctorate and he is a professor like me in electrical engineering. I know how much work he had to do. Even working in a factory, the factory told that you can go, but after completing your work, so perhaps out of 24 hours, 18 hours he was devoting for work as well as it was very hard life. Postgraduate students who mainly perform teaching and R&D type of jobs join the program as a last choice in our country. Only when they do not get other opportunities, particularly civil services like IAS, because there is a lot of recognition also. You can say PG students, PG education in India is substandard when compared with that of the developed countries like USA, Europe, Australia, Canada, etc. And that is one of the major reason. The students, not for only money, because whatever is their latent, their talent, that is actually developed there. But they have a little opportunity. My son worked 4 years in Yale, then he got bored and he said, no, I will go abroad for higher education there. Anyway, he will be settling there. The low outturn of poor quality of postgraduates who constitute the supply source of teaching, research and supply source of teaching, research and consultancy profession is a major concern for our technical education system in India. It is a fact that the bright and meritorious students are living abroad for higher study abroad and they settle there. Now our Prime Minister said that it is a brain gain, but question is whose gain it is? Because those people not only employ our bright students, they use them also. For example, I know a couple of my students, they go for manufacturing and other type of jobs which are actually they are selling those things, medical equipments and like that, so they utilize them. Anyway, the role of academic institutions, this is my last slide. Majority of students joining engineering courses after completion of 12 years of schooling and at secondary and higher secondary levels have little idea of engineering program, because when they join they are very young, you know. So engineering curricula and syllabus are to be very carefully drawn to gradually mold them to prepare them to perform as engineers in a manner similar to doctors. You cannot be doctors, you know, it requires very hard. In fact, there is one advantage that their industry is in education institution itself, but we do not have any such facility in the engineering institution. So I personally feel that internship should be made compulsory. At least when I was graduating, I had 1 year of training and they used to give civil engineering degree only after 1 year of completion. That has an advantage because you know your problem. And maybe some of, I'm not saying because ours is a social, ours is a democratic, we cannot compel everybody, but maybe some of them may be interested in, they can get inspiration, you know. So I think so, AICTE may consider it anyway. In the new education policy, NEP 2000, the most important component is mapping of educational outcome with reference to attributes like current critical thinking and knowledge application. In NEP 2020, it is proposed to offer certificate, diploma, degree and honors with research degree after completion of study of 1, 2, 3 and 4 years respectively at undergraduate level. It's good scheme. The proposed National Research Foundation for research funding under NEP is going to be very effective. I think it's very effective because they will have some amount of income also while doing research and other work. Useful step for achieving self-sufficiency and improving quality of research as per our social requirement. Role of academic research. Under higher education program, a student will have following flexibility. He can take 2-year program with the second year devoted entirely to research for those who have completed the 3 years technical program, yes. For students completing 4 years bachelor program under the NEP, I have studied it, a program with the research, there could be 1 year master's program, that is very good. And master's program is really designed for expertise, you know. Undergraduate creates a broad base. That is really, it's a foundation. Without that you cannot do higher study at all. So there may be an integrated 5-year bachelor's program in master's degree. Undertaking a PhD shall require either a master's degree at 4-year bachelor's level or a degree with research. It requires complete overhauling of our existing curricula and syllabus, because I have done a lot of syllabus, including IIT Delhi. I know it requires a lot of time, a lot of thinking, and it requires a lot of consultation with also industries. When we at Delhi Technology University started the environmental engineering course, we had at least 10 meetings with a lot of other, that what is the first thing is employability, then what is the scope, how many, so these things have to be done carefully before drawing the syllabus and the curriculum. Different emerging areas like geospatial engineering, remote sensing, they are very useful things, and artificial intelligence, machine learning, then computer software. In our time we had no such subject, but with time, interdisciplinary work, this type of studies are essential, and it requires a lot of devotion and working, hard work. Role of professional bodies, there are several professional bodies of engineers in India and abroad. At least I am member of, say, 8-10 such professional bodies, Institute of Engineers, Indian Society of Hydraulics. They organize, there is the one abroad also, International Hydraulic Research. They organize seminars and conferences, publish peer-reviewed journals, papers, then news bulletins, then organize training tutorial program on a regular basis. They play a vital role in updating knowledge and latest developments in different disciplines in engineering and technology for practicing engineers, academicians, researchers and consultants. Several awards, memorial lectures are also instituted by these bodies to encourage research and development, as we have seen today. That's a very good thing. It should be done. They are independent bodies and are mostly funded by members and affiliated institutions remittances received from advertisements from public and private enterprises. Engineers, technicians, students and research scholars are immensely benefited by reading these publications and participating in several events organized by such bodies. Being independent, these associations or bodies can play a vital role in policy formulation, decision with the government and advanced engineering profession for social economic benefit of the country. I think that's some of the sources.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful contribution. I want to give an opportunity to those sitting in those last rows and those last rows to come here and feel like VVIPs. Please move. Please. I'm inviting you to feel like VVIPs. Please come in.